Alright guys, it's going to be a map chat on Lakeville, and starting off from the south side, light tanks. At the very start, some of the strongest positions you can get to early on are going to be towards middle. I wouldn't go all the way towards middle like a lot of people tend to do, but as a light tank there's a bush sitting right on the corner of this square, and sitting behind it, about right there, will give you lights onto the majority of everything that crosses through here. Um, It's probably the strongest and one of the safest. It's not, super safe. If you get a YOLO scout on the enemy team coming right there, they're going to spot you. But for the most part, you can get back over the hill quick enough once you get lit to survive. But you'll light the stuff that's in here and the stuff that's over here, and your TDs and tanks that are sitting right here will be able to get shots out and do some damage. Um, Other things you could do is to rush south right from the beginning, get into this area, push into here, and try to get an early light onto the tanks coming into this area, or really any part of this area, so that your TDs that are sitting in this area can get shots that go all the way across and hit into this area and that area. So if they have tanks that try to rush up and get behind the building or rush up into this area, you'll spot them quick enough for your TDs to react and do some damage. Alright, so that's pretty much it for when it comes to light tanks. As far as going valley, I don't ever condone any tank going valley. Valley is pretty much a useless push. If you want to win the map, the strongest way to win the map is to win it here. Or actually, it's here. Win it here. Leave valley alone, especially if there's a bunch of artillery and TDs. Alright, now to the tank destroyers. Normally, if you're sitting at base, it's your job to protect back here. So if something does get lit back here, either, by a light tank that happens to be camping back here, I don't know why they would, or a heavy tank, or your artillery that are camping back here, and if something gets lit, it's your job to protect it. Going back and forth to check it, every once in a while to make sure nothing's going to be down is also a good idea, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to try to push this. So it's your job to protect this area. If they do a massive push, just hold them off as long as you can. Stay in this area. Stay close to the mountain. Don't get hit. If you're in a fast TD, you can go down this side and get back here and get into this area so you can get shots across. But for the most part, you can even sit one back here. It'll take a while, but something will come down this area. Something always comes down this area, and you'll put your presence onto it. Then that'll alert the rest of your team that there's something there, and usually stuff will come back, or stadiums that are right here, you can ping them to come back and help. But watch out for artillery. Obviously, if you're sitting out in the open in this area, artillery that sits in this corner or back in this corner is going to have shots into this area, so just be careful. You'll take a shot from behind the bush, back up, get into cover, and just chill out and wait for them to push up. But you can also sit here, or push up slightly to here to get shots onto the tanks to get spotted right here. You're probably best to push up to the top of this hill. Be careful not to get lit there, which if you do get lit, you're going to have to back down and just be patient and, slowly back out. But for the most part, getting right there. But for the most part, what you're trying to do is stop any tanks that get spotted from making it to the city, or doing as much damage as possible from that position. Alright, so continuing going south, heavily armored or faster TDs, pushing the north part's probably one of the easier sides to push, as far as it gives you good advantages. Going to here, and a lot of tank destroyers, if they get shot in the top of the tank, they're easy to pen. So going here is okay, but if something comes around and pops a shot at you, you'll get pinned pretty easily, and then things can get behind you really easily. So the north road, or the very east road, I should say, is usually more reliable. If something tries to get behind you, you can always back up against the wall, block them, and then save yourselves. So if you're going to take a TD in the city, I recommend staying on the top part or the east part. All right, so moving on to medium tanks. Obviously, if you don't have a scout doing it, you can always take a leopard or something behind that bush right there to spot across. Just understand you're going to be a lot easier to spot. It is definitely risky. If something does get spotted here, you can always sit on top of this hill back here. If you look at the way the hill is shaped, and it's going to be a little bit harder to see on this, but the very bottom hill, it has a little piece of ramp that goes up. It's a little teeny platform before the actual top of that whole hill. And if you sit on that, your top, only the top of your turret will show over, which makes you harder to spot and much more harder to pin. And just look over it from that position and shoot towards middle to take out, any of their light tanks or something that push up to this corner really aggressively. And you'll have direct shots right onto them pretty easily. You might even be able to spot a couple, depending what your setup is. Then medium-wise, if you get into city, what you're going to be waiting to do in city is either to rush flank low or rush flank high. Going to the middle is pretty much a waste of your time because you can't really poke around these corners without taking a lot of damage. So you'll be sitting low, waiting to push in around to flank whatever's in here and do damage. Make sure you don't, stop right there in the open because you'll get shot from their base. And, don't push too far because you'll get shot from there as well. But you'll sit in these areas, one of these two areas, and flank and do damage. At that same time, your heavies will push around and your TDs will push down. Or you can go from the top. You'll rush in all the way to this side, get behind these buildings, and great pressure onto this area right here, which will make it easier for your team to push around behind or through. So being a medium, that's probably some of the most effective. There it is, a heavy. Incredibly simple, and it's also very important that you go as close to the south as you can. You want to be as close to this area as you can. If you try going across middle like this, you're going to get spotted, you're going to get killed. If you try going, cheeky like that, you're going to get spotted, you're going to get killed. If you tried going like that, you're going to get spotted, you're going to get killed. You need to, when you push out a base, get as close to this wall and push in, on this side of the rock. Don't go to this side of the rock. On this side of the rock, and push in. And get at the city. Where you go in the city, it's totally up to you. You can work all three areas. You can work this wall, you can work this line, you can work this line, you can work this area. But your main objective in city is to push in. Be aware if you sit on this side right there, you can get shot from here. If you sit in this area, you can get shot from here. So really dangerous areas to sit in. You just want to avoid this whole line of sight right there. So if you do push up to here, you're going to get towards the top and you're going to face this way. You're never going to face around the building south because you never know how many TDs or artillery they have sitting there that can hit you. So that'd be pretty much what you're doing. It's not complicated. There's no special places to go. You're just going to get in the city, work with your mediums, and crush out everything that's in it. You'll have support from TDs most of the time you play this map from this area. They'll be able to hit anything that's sitting in this area or this area. So keeping this stuff lit or forcing this these tanks into these positions is good for your TDs getting shots onto them. Alright, let's move on to the north side. Okay, it's pretty much similar from this side. From the north spawn, pushing up onto D4. I don't really like saying coordinates, but pushing up to this area, and there's a little ramp you can get up onto. That'll give you enough to spot anything that's close to this area. I wouldn't really push up more because if you do get spotted, it is very easy to kill you. So pushing up right into this area, or sorry, into this area will give you lights into everything that's over here. Then, just like the other side, pushing in the city, getting up here to light, then falling back, or getting up into this area to light through here, then falling back is always strong. Your TDs that are going to sit right here can hit into this area, so keep having this lit at the very beginning is pretty good. Alright, so backing up, moving on to tank destroyers. Very beginning, again, it's your job to, if you're in a tank destroyer, to watch this side, and if you're sitting back at base, but to watch this side and keep it protected and keep be ready to defend it and wait for your team to fall back and help. But for the most part, anything pushed up this side would be easy to take out. But sitting on this corner, pushed up a little bit, will give you shots onto everything that's over here or over here at the very beginning or throughout the match. A lot of tanks like to sit on this corner or on this corner, and you will have shots easily onto them. Any tanks that come into this area or try to back up and run away out this area, you'll have shots onto this entire area. Now, I don't recommend a bunch of TDs sit there. It's always more effective for the TDs to actually be into the town. But depending on how the match plays out, having a couple TDs back here is definitely really effective. If not, just to watch for a push on this side. So when you go in the city, same thing as before. Pushing north always seems to be one of the better sides that TDs can push up. So really no difference. Moving on to mediums. Same thing, getting up onto this area as light tanks to spot across. Best thing you can do. If you don't have a light already lighting from either this area or this area, then getting lights, if you have like optics or binos or something to light them, is definitely what you want to be doing. If not, then you want to be on the north side of city or the low part of city, trying to spot and get some damage done. I understand that sitting in this area will get you shot because there are TDs that sit from here to here, can see up into this area pretty deep. So you want to be careful about how you come around that corner. But if you can get around the corner quick enough and light, or around this area and light, that's what you're trying to do. Light and get ready to push in with your heavies. And onto heavies. Heavies are pretty much exactly the same. You push in, no matter the areas you want to push in. Doesn't really matter. Your objective is to take out that side. Understand any heavies, mediums, or TDs that sit in this area can get hit from over here. Or if they sit here, they can get hit from here as well. So sitting here and here is really risky. So if you're going to push in, you're either going to push in all the way up, or you're going to push in flush with this building, so that nothing can hit you from this side or from the middle. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. Hope you enjoyed.